Welcome to the Nest Podcast, your weekly home for sports news, video game reviews, and hot takes with your hosts, Brandon, Zach, and Justin. Enjoy the show.
What is up, guys, and welcome to a very special episode of the Nest Podcast.
Hey.
I'm your host, Brandon. Joining me is my co-host, Zach, and our special guest for the evening. First up, we've got my good friend from a long time ago, Alec Strickland from the band New Pacific, and he's doing all kinds of other stuff there in Tennessee now. And also joining us, the head of Roan Audio Works, Chase Slagle.
Hi,
what's up, guys?
How's it going?
What's up?
I'm here for the hot takes.
For the hot
I didn't know
takes.
we were doing hot takes.
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing
No,
that. Who's winning the Super Bowl, Alec?
I don't even know any football teams.
That
Packers, I suppose.
the hot takes normally pertains to our Monday night show when we talk about sports. We're a low budget podcast. We don't have enough money for two intros.
Go, gotcha. Right on.
So anyway, the reason that we wanted to have you guys on tonight is because we wanted to learn a little bit about rock and roll. And I was flipping through the Rolodex of my friends because here in this month of April, we've been reaching out to all of our old friends to see if they're okay. Because this coronavirus is ripping apart entire chunks of our country. So Alec, you're there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Chase, you're all the way over in California. We're checking on you guys, make sure you're okay, and we figure we can learn something in the process.
Sure.
Cool.
So tell our listeners, please, guys, what it is that you do in the music industry. Alec, if you want to start, and then Chase, you can just kind of fill in.
Yeah, totally. So now I primarily do mostly graphic design, web design in the music space, and have been doing it for forever. It feels like probably like 15 years or something. But yeah, kind of grew up playing in punk rock bands and doing that kind of thing. And then we moved to California and lived in Los Angeles, and I worked for like the Foo Fighters and Nine Inch Nails and Queens of Stone Age, a bunch of those kind of people. And then my wife and I came back here to Nashville like a year ago or so to have twin babies, also rock and roll.
Wow.
Up all night.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. One is a little more glamorous and more rewarding. The other is a very thankless job. I'm talking about parenting being the thankless one because God,
sometimes the music business is also thankless.
I want to say that. Yeah.
And Chase, what kind of brings you to the studio, so to say?
Well, I kind of lead a dual life. On one hand, I'm a radar technician that works with a lot of ballistic missile defense. On the other, I like studio and music. So I kind of married the two. I do a lot of electronics work now, but mostly you mentioned Roan Audio Works. After I left the Navy, I wanted to get back involved with music somehow. So I formed up my own music label, and I host a bunch of or a few bands from North Carolina, from the Asheville area, Arnold Hill, Mike Yao, William Ritter. They're all heavily Appalachia influenced. They're not country necessarily, but there's that. But I also worked around in some studios in Nashville. Worked in Asheville at Echo Recording for a hot minute too, and then got picked up out here. So living in Camarillo, California now.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Did you work with a guy named Bill Reynolds at Echo?
Bill Reynolds sounds.
He's
really
in Band of
good.
Horses, but he worked there for a while.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, he's funny story. We went out after we wrapped up one of their last albums at Echo. We went out and ate locally somewhere, and he got a plate of raw oysters. And I never had raw oysters, so he came them out, and I wasn't about to let him show me up, so I had to pinch my nose and down it.
That classy Bill Reynolds. That's great.
Yeah. I work with Clay Miller out there too.
Right on.
And, so you guys do a lot and know a lot about the music industry and specifically the equipment that it takes to make it all sound professional, sound legit, sound the best quality. And that's something that my partner, Zach, was interested in when we first started the podcast. And I was messaging you guys before you came on that I knew you guys were audio guys, so I said if you had good stuff, we prefer that, but a gaming headset's also good enough, because that's what we used when we first started, was just an Xbox Live headset.
Yep. Totally.
Boom.
Oh, absolutely. You
That
got to
works.
deal with whatever you're given.
So I guess a question that I might have is, when you're sitting in the studios, when you're getting ready to start mixing your music together, what's your go-to programs or functions that you like to use? Chase, I know you've been doing a lot here lately on Facebook Live for your following. What are you using whenever you write songs and stuff?
From the get-go, these days, I always use Pro Tools. It was industry standard when I went through school. It's what I got to know. And it's not even about like, Pro Tools. Everybody's really elitist about it sometimes, but I started on Cool Edit Pro. I mean, it's Adobe Edition now, but all my songwriting, all my sketches for songs, everything, it goes through broadcasting, goes through Pro Tools.
Yeah, I use Logic for everything. Yeah. I a lot of the times we'll mix in Pro Tools because there's kind of like just a better mix flow in it. But especially I write most all of our songs, and it's quicker for me in Logic. Like I've just used it for a long time, and it's easier for me to get from my head to down. And I use a lot of Final Cut, which is like the video side of the thing. So a lot of the hotkeys and stuff are the same. But yeah, I've got just like an interface, too many guitars, and a handful of microphones and stuff, and that's really all you need these days, except for like a drum room. A lot of like big records, they'll just cut drums in like a big studio and then just pull everything back to the house, because you're kind of like you don't need a humongous studio to like record someone singing, Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, most ISO booths are the size of a closet.
I'm building one.
Yeah, it's easy.
I'm building one right now. It's halfway done. I wish I could. I don't know if I could show like a photo of it, but it looks like the frame of like an outhouse. It's like 4 foot by 4 foot by 7. Me and my friend Donna are building it right now, and it's almost done. But yeah, we just figured out it's just drywall. Some tiny room.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you building that for? Just to perfect your vocals for audio tracks?
Yeah. We just bought a house here in Nashville, and we I do a lot of heavy kind of music, and we have twin babies. So the last thing babies want to hear when they're trying to sleep is me trying to sing heavy music. So it's more to box me in. We also have a bunch of audio treatment and stuff we're going to put in it to make it will sound better for sure. I mean, this is like a big, just wooden room kind of, but I do guitar and stuff in here, but that'll be nice to have a place that you can kind of control.
Yeah.
And how cool is it that this day and age, you can live in Nashville and have your band on the other side of the country, and you can still record and
it's crazy
and get everything done. Do you remember the Postal Service from back in the day?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I'm pretty sure that's what
people are going to be saying now. In a few months.
Pretty sure that's how they recorded their first album, was no shit mailing each other the discs.
Yeah, wow.
That's where they came up with the name for the band. The Postal
I think
Service.
so. Yeah.
That's wild. That's crazy.
No, it's funny you mentioned that, actually. Internet and all that, we don't have to mail it anymore. And there's actually a subreddit called Bedroom Bands that I participated on. And my last album, I had a girl in Ireland lay down vocal tracks for harmonies.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I love it. Internet's wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah, we use this thing called Splice. And Splice is like you use it for like downloading like different sounds and stuff, but we use it to sync sessions. So like I'll record a guitar track here, and then when I save the track, it goes to our other bandmates in California, and they can save track, and it comes back to me with theirs on it. So everything's always synced, which is like a cool way to do it, especially with Logic, because it packs its own files. So it's like easier to do it that way.
Yeah, that's pretty handy.
And does that lead to any kind of extensive editing on the back end whenever you sit down and try to make it sound good? Or is it just come naturally good?
It's we use direct guitar lines on a lot of stuff, so it's like you record
perfect, yeah.
guitar directly into an interface, and then there's this. We've been using this thing called STL tones. It's like Howard Benson put out a bunch of kind of his guitar tones that he's used on a bunch of stuff. They have these things called impulse responses now, where they basically just like drill crazy. Those like Kemper amps, they basically like capture the soul of like the amp by just blasting like a millisecond of like white noise, and the way it catches it, it can like almost like Ghostbusters-y like grab the like tone, and then you just have that. So we got a bunch of amps and stuff from that.
That's wild.
You know how some cultures think if you take a photo of them, it captures their soul? Well, it's kind of the same for audio.
Exactly.
But yeah, I use a modeling program too. I use Positive Grid, and I can edit the amps or whatever. Same thing with what you're talking about too. Yeah.
There's some really good drum, because drums are especially like the things that are the hardest to record and to make sound good. Even if you have like a great studio, like it's hard to make drums like sound really good. Guitars, bass, you can't really miss, you know, but drums especially are tough. So there's some really good drum plugins. I've actually been using the Slate drums that are really good. There's a bunch of good expansion stuff in there.
I use the same. I love those.
We've got the plugin subscription, like it's like $15 a month. It's got a ton of great plugins from Slate as well.
Oh man, the Distressor plugin when that came out. Sorry, I'm getting geeky, but
No, that's what this episode's for sure.
Yeah, it's now, especially just because the way things have come along technology wise, like a lot of software is pretty close to emulating the hardware a lot of the hardware stuff was even around before me, so I don't really have the ear to judge it, but a lot of the older folks who have used both of them for a long time say it's getting pretty close, and also don't have $9,000 to drop on a compressor, you know.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. The internet not only brings connection, but it brings, like you said, like Chase said, someone from God knows where can do a track for you. And on that same note, you can have instruments that a human isn't actually playing, but no one will know the difference because it sounds so good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A buddy of mine has an old Fender Champ, asked him to get the impulse result or the impulse capture on it. And it was like playing through his amp there. It's amazing what technology.
That's crazy.
Well, like the microphone I'm using now can emulate, you know, any microphone in Blackbird Studios, you know, that sort of idea.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a question that I had for you guys, we're a little bit past the starting out point. And for us, it was a lot easier. All we really needed was a mic. But for you guys, when you were starting out doing your thing, how did you prioritize what gear to spend money on versus what gear could wait or you could cheap out on?
Oh, man. Alec, you want to take it?
Yeah, so I mean, interface first, because you need some way to connect what you're doing to the computer. There's no point in buying microphones if you can't plug them into anything. So I do interface first. I've got this one is like a Scarlett. It's like a Focusrite. It's like the little red like 2-channel thing, and it's great. It's totally works for stuff like this. But we've got like an Apollo Twin, which is another great preamp. But yeah, at the very beginning, interface, and then a good microphone. I like this one. The SM7s are good. They're a little, not super pricey, like $300 or something. But we always had like an Audio Technica 4040 or something, and it sounded terrible, but like the music we were playing was also terrible, so it complemented it well. Terrible meaning like it didn't sound super pristine, as we were in a bunch of punk rock bands where you just turn everything all the way up.
Right.
Hey, punk rock,
I remember those days.
Oh yeah,
I remember those days. Alec and I used to tear up the mean streets of Johnson City together.
oh yeah,
Those were the glory days of my life.
oh yeah. Yeah, Brandon played bass in Brains for Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
A thrash metal acoustic band.
That's right.
I like it.
That's right. Those are fun.
Band name for sure too.
It's tough. It's tough.
It was a fun time.
I think one of the things that I remember most was always crashing your set during your rodeo song.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember we played at college or at ETSU, and our drummer didn't wear a shirt. Our drummer Seth Newman, who's like a wild man, especially in those days. I guess was that the one he wore like a bulletproof vest to play. We somehow got in trouble. I can't remember how, but he was always playing shirtless and like super tiny like booty shorts.
Yeah, like Marine Corps skivvies.
Yeah, he's the man.
That's great.
Yeah, he was funny. You had a great group of guys. I like TC a lot too. He was a rad dude. Good old days for sure. But getting back, Zach, what other questions do you have?
Why don't we let Chase answer that question too?
Oh, okay.
Well, let me take that question, and I'll take you back to how we actually started. I mean, we were in a single wide trailer. We were in a band. We were playing pop punk tunes and cover tunes in local bars, but we wanted to release an album. But yeah, Alec's absolutely right. We had to get our interface first. We had mics from the live shows, but we got this old interface that only hooked up 1/4-inch plugs.
Sure.
But yeah, absolutely. The interface, you got to have a way to talk to the computer, or if you got a tape recorder, if you really want to go way back. Your microphones, which we had SM57s and 8s. I think I had a Sennheiser 609 on the guitar cabs. And we got these pencil mics we borrowed from Andy's church for the drums overheads. But as far as DAW, and I mentioned this earlier, just get to know a DAW really well, inside and out, and that way you can do anything. And it's even better these days. I mean, there's free ones like Reaper. I think Behringer's about to release theirs. If you're really hard up, you can always look at Audacity.
Right. Yeah.
So about in that matter, and then start upgrading things as you can. If you make a little bit of money live or wherever, invest that and upgrade each component as you can. And now I'm working with 2 interfaces over here, and I put a little bit of money into it now that I can actually bring a little money in.
Yeah. And one thing that I found while I was researching what equipment to go for is the popular thing for this kind of thing, like a low budget podcast, is like to just get a Yeti and go with that. And I think we have better sound for cheaper, and we have not only a mic but an interface and arms and all that stuff for less than one Yeti mic. So a lot of people just go off of whatever everyone else is using, and a lot of times that's not what really works for what you're doing.
Yeah, I found if you do your research, you get to really understand a signal chain and how things work together. You can end up with a much better cast than most of these people out there. Apply a little bit of compression, apply a gate, give yourself some EQ.
Right.
It's all about understanding the signal chain.
Yeah. And it's way simpler than I would have imagined too. We don't do any editing for our show or anything like that. So it's just straight up what you hear is what you get. And
is that an artistic choice?
No,
I was waiting for the laugh track. Do you guys not have a like
no, man.
The Auga, like morning zoo sound?
We should get some of those.
That should be your first purchase, I think.
Family Guy, welcome to Weenie in the Butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Zach, actually, you can do that.
Yeah, I have a little app on my iPad that is running off the interface too that has like just random stupid sounds, but I hardly use it.
Apparently, we need to do it more.
Apparently.
All right,
so where are you guys at geographically, Brandon and Zach? Are you?
I am in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, I moved down here in 2015 when I got out of the Marine Corps.
Right on.
Yeah, and I'm in St. Louis. I've been here for about 3 years.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So we understand the piecing things together via distance, because the entire almost 2 years that we've done this podcast, we've never once been in the same building to do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
In fact, we haven't seen each other in 5 years? Probably.
Yeah, in person. Yeah.
Wow. How'd you guys meet?
We were in the Marines together.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
So yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Zach, what else you got?
trying to think. I guess from our standpoint, our equipment that we use is super simple compared to all the stuff you guys use. What are some of your favorite like memories of your music career, if you will? Go ahead, Alec. I'm sure you've got the best ones.
We played Lollapalooza a few years ago, which was pretty rad. I've always been a fan of big festivals like that. And we played the same stage as Metallica. Pretty cool. And then we played like an after show thing with this band called Death from Above, 1979, kind of a heavier band. But it was like one of those days where we had to wake up like super early, like 5 a.m. and then just played and did a bunch of press and like everything. And then played like a super late show, sold out in Chicago to like a couple thousand people. And then like went to sleep at like 2 a.m. So it was like 24 hours of just rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that was a good day. It's probably like 2 years ago, maybe something like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard that festival is really, really awesome.
Chicago's rad, especially in the summer.
Yeah,
so it's the winter you gotta look out for.
Yeah. People go crazy there in the summer because winter's so shitty.
Oh, for sure.
Chase, what do you know about Chicago in the winter? Were you ever there?
I have a mild PTSD from my time in Chicago.
Yeah.
So totally unrelated to music, but I went to boot camp on Halloween, and boot camp for the Navy is up north of Chicago. Well, it ended up snowing a lot that year. So we'd have to be out at like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever, for snow watch, and we'd have to shovel in front of the barracks. So yeah, totally unrelated to music, but I love Chicago. I love that town.
What's Snow Watch?
Snow watch, where you have to go stand outside for hours on end, perfectly still or get yelled at, and snovel any snow that happens to land on the pavement in front of the building.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sounds like some of the fun fuck games that you play when you're in the military.
I could have 100% see that being a thing.
Oh, it totally is a thing. 4 hours at a time, you're standing there, night and day.
Lovely. Can't invest in any salt, can they?
No, why waste salt when you got recruits?
Do you have any memories that you look back on fondly from your music career?
Well, I mean, I was in one band in college called Loafer's Glory. We were never huge or anything. We played a lot of local shows. But one of the best shows we ever played was at the mental institution at Broughton Hospital.
Whoa, that's awesome.
It was a charity show, but they filmed lots of horror films and all that there, and the whole stigma with the mental hospital. But I tell you, there were some kids there for some drug abuse problems or misled youth or however you want to call it. But they were so grateful just to have any sort of entertainment coming through. And we were, we played all sorts of cover songs of the time, Blink-182, Jimmy Eat World, Smashing Pumpkins, all of that stuff. But they absolutely loved it. And it felt good to be appreciated like that. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
That reminds me when we used to play the Fire Escape. Brandon, do you remember that place in Johnson City? They used to bring out the deaf school to like hear our band play because we were really heavy and they liked like feeling the things.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's also like shit. We're big with the deaf folks.
The Fire Escape was a Christian venue. So they probably had it. They probably had an outreach with the deaf school or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
they're always super nice.
Yeah, we rocked them to death though.
Rocked them to death.
That's an interesting point though that I never really thought of. They can't hear you music, but they can sure feel
it. Yeah, exactly.
Heavy beats or whatever of the amps and everything. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's when you just turn it up to 11 and just start strumming. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Just like every other show.
That's awesome.
So what's next for you guys coming up this summer? Alec, you got any big plans for the New Pacific this summer?
You tell me. We're just like waiting on this whole everything to like happen. I've got about 10, 11, maybe 12 songs that we're going to chop through, get mixed, and release as a record this summer. I'll probably fly to LA and play some shows out there and do the whole thing. But, that's if the world is open for biz. But definitely put out a bunch of songs. This next set is going to be pretty cool. It's like really like heavy pop songs. Like everything's real, like heavy but really melodic. I don't know. It's cool. It's like heavy pop. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that reminded me of a question I wanted to ask. What does it entail to cut a record? Like, do you obviously record songs and then like the band gets together and this one goes here and that one goes here, or do like producers get involved? Like, what is that process like?
I've done it a bunch of different ways. I mean, having a producer is always really good for me because I usually write most of at least the foundational parts of the song, and then my friends Brett and Dustin and Brian all come in and we all cut together the song together. Everybody adds their own stuff, and then by the time we get it together, it's hard for me to tell what's good because I've been so close to it all the time. Sure. So having a producer come in and be like, oh, just like change this one little thing, or why don't you make this twice as long or half as long, and we've always had great luck with that. We've got a really great producer we've been working with in Los Angeles named Steve Evitz. Did the Through Being Cool with Saves the Day, and he does all the Every Time I Die stuff, and he's got a really good like pop ear, but also really good like heavy ear. I think he does all the Dillinger Escape Plan records, like a bunch of that kind of stuff. But he's great, and it's always good to have another guy and like just to bounce ideas off of, especially like as a band, having like an outside person come in.
Sure. Do you do any like physical copies of the records anymore?
Not anymore. I mean, I'd love to do vinyl of these songs that I'm about to start chipping away at, but I mean, CDs, like our last record, I think we made like a few hundred CDs, but like no one like uses CDs, so we ended up just giving a bunch of them away.
I would assume only collectors and stuff really buy that kind of stuff. People
are trying to do tapes, which kind of seems weird to me because like tapes also like don't sound. I think there's probably something good about having a tactile like owning a piece of music because it's such like an invisible thing to just own things on your computer. But tape seems like a weird one.
Yeah, that does seem weird.
That seems like one of those things that people are trying to force to come back. Like the record player made its little resurgence. Are they trying to bring back the cassette? Next, they'll try to recycle old technology with the walkie-talkie,
or something.
I'm gonna hang on to those CDs for when the CD comes back around.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we'll get them on the second wave.
When the kids are about 25, 30, and they start becoming cool again.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah, there's a nostalgia there, just like there was for the records. For whatever reason, low fidelity tape is making a comeback.
That is strange.
Vinyl at least sounds great.
Yeah, that's true. At least that's the credibility to the people. Like, oh, well, I want to listen to it on vinyl. It's like, well, it does sound really good. So
I like all the big art too. It's especially because that's a lot of what I do for my job now is do art for music, like albums and such, and having that big, 12-inch square to work with and all the space now, it's like a thumbnail.
Album art is a lost art.
Oh yeah, totally.
You mentioned Every Time I Die earlier. They always have amazing album art on their vinyls,
for sure.
On their vinyl presses and stuff, which Jordan Buckley is a crazy artist in his
phenomenal
own right. So
like illustrator. Absolutely.
Have you ever played with them, Alec?
We played Warped Tour, but not like a show with them. Warped Tour is weird where it'll be like it changes every day, like all the times. So sometimes like some humongous band will play at like 8, or not 8, but like 11 in the morning. So sometimes like the best thing is just going and seeing everyone else play, and the dates always like shuffle around. So it's always weird seeing like a band that should play in the dark during the day, like seeing AFI during the day. You're just kind of like, Or
Right.
like
Some
Ghost,
romantic
that band
movie.
Ghost, where you see Ghost in the day, and it's
What are you doing?
like, yeah, it's a little when the makeup is like running and such.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, Kiss is one of those bands that you have
Yes.
to see in the dark
Right.
with the lasers, and the smoke.
Especially now. Yeah.
Especially now. It was a must in the 70s, but definitely now.
Yeah,
hmm
that's funny. Did you see that recent video? I don't know how recent, but I think Gene Simmons' hair caught on fire on stage, or one of them.
Oh, I did see that, and he like kept
See that?
playing.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
That's pretty
rock
punk
and roll.
to like
Yeah.
just keep
Roadies,
playing.
like, tackled him or something. Yeah, that was wild. You probably can't feel it anymore after 30 years of.
Oh yeah, they've done a lot.
And what's next for you, Chase? I know you've been doing your Facebook live streams. Is that something you're going to continue?
Yeah, I mean that's just for funsies. People can't go out and do much. I mean, you've always got your music on a player or whatever, but it's always nice to see kind of a live show too. So I just do a bunch of covers, a bunch of old songs, originals. I mean, more than that though, I'm hoping we open up at some point. I'm producing a couple new bands, and I'm hoping to get them on the label too. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going to be releasing my own solo stuff again later this year.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens. That's a nice thing about not actually being fully involved with anything. I get to pick and choose my projects and who I want to produce.
Sure.
But yeah, Alec was absolutely right. It's always good to have a fresh set of ears to listen to a project moving forward, because you get too familiar with the project, and with my own stuff especially, it's like I have somebody else listen to it, namely my wife, who's brutally honest.
That's good though.
Yeah, totally.
She's like, "Do you really need a 3-minute long guitar solo?" I was like, "Maybe."
Make it 5.
Got it. Thanks, Mike.
It worked for Skinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Good.
So yeah, I usually I'll send it out to some familiar people. When I was in Nashville, I studied under Joe West, who's got a number of credits to his name, but I kind of got an idea of how to produce and songwrite fairly streamlined through him. Just watching him work with Keith Urban came in one day, and Tim McGraw, and a few other people, and I just got to kind of see that process. Now, country music is a whole different beast from like punk or rock. These people, there's like 30,000 people involved with the songwriting process for that.
Yeah, that is crazy. Like just being around in Nashville just by proximity, like seeing a bunch of our friends are songwriters and such. But while the process is way different, it's also like super similar. Whenever I'm in in those things, it's like writing a country, especially now, country and pop punk are like pretty close. Like if you just like move some of the instrumentation around a little bit and kind of like put some twang on, like you could swap out some stuff.
The only thing you need to substitute is maybe put a violin or a mandolin, but it's the same chord structure, same song structure.
Totally.
I mean, that's true about a lot of things. Look at hardcore and dubstep.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Very, very similar stuff.
Same thing.
Well, why does it take 30 people to write a country song about one guy's dog dying?
Because there's a lot of money involved.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
everyone's got to get their piece.
Yep. Yeah, you got the original songwriter, you got the producer to help the songwriter. You might even have a lyricist. Then you have all the not guild union people come in, track their separate parts, and then you got publishing and distribution. Holy cow!
Yeah. There's a phrase here. It's like change a word, get a third. If you change like one word of a thing, then you're now like a songwriter on credits, and you get a piece of it.
Wow.
That's why sometimes those sessions are very closed doors.
Yeah, for sure.
That's insane. And I bet it's a cutthroat industry up there too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. I mean, people in Nashville are just so nice that it's like, it's a lot of like, if it's cutthroat, it's in a like,
it's a very
polite way.
Yeah,
that's cool. This is actually the third guest from Nashville we've had on in the past month. So we're definitely checking on our Nashville people, aren't we?
Nashville. Yeah, we're kind of like in this weird place because we had that big tornado hit kind of like near our house, and there's this weird, because everything's still like roofs ripped off. There's this weird physical manifestation of like destruction, along with all this like invisible stuff that's going on. So I went running earlier and like running through and seeing all these like venues we used to like see music and stuff at, just holes in the wall, and everyone's in mass, and it's like it's very very end times.
It's very apocalyptic, yeah, for sure. It makes it look like you're walking around Eastman again.
Yeah, exactly. Eastman is the chemical factory from our old hometown. It kind of like is this big, almost like Gotham looking, like insane, just blowing like crazy. They don't sponsor this podcast, do they?
No.
Okay, I don't want to get you in trouble.
They're not affiliated in any way with the podcast.
Okay, all right.
Although if they want to, I will gladly say that they're the shining spot of the Tri-Cities.
Yeah. They employ a ton of people. That's for sure.
I got to California's horn just for a second. I thought we would be run amok with all these natural herbal holistic healing for this whole virus, but people around here have actually taken it kind of seriously. I'm really surprised.
Where in California are you?
I'm just above LA. I'm up in Ventura County.
Oh, right on. Cool. My wife and I lived behind Pink's Hot Dogs in LA for like a decade.
Yeah. Dude, so we just got a Pink's, by the way.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Right beside the In and Out over here.
Oh, yeah. Also a California staple.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of In and Out,
Trash.
Brandon and I were both stationed in San Diego, and anytime anyone brings up that In-N-Out is the best burger, like California specifically, I tell them to go try Tommy's and come back to me.
Hey, there you go. Tommy's is good.
Tommy's is the shit.
I would also argue Habit.
Haven't had that one.
See, Alec, you might be one of the only people that I know that could relate to this, but In-N-Out burgers to me are the same thing as Pals.
It's very palsy for sure. 100%.
Yeah, right there in Irwin.
Oh, you know Pals? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Man, I don't know how often you get over the mountain.
Pals is this interesting thing where they don't let it go outside of like a certain mile radius. They've tried to keep it like in East Tennessee for like a long time.
Like them and Dr. Enough. What is it with all the good things of East
Dr.
Tennessee not wanting to leave?
Hoarder.
Cheerwine. You know how hard it is to get cheerwine over here?
Cheerwine.
That's a North Carolina beverage. That's not an East Tennessee beverage.
But that's my heart and soul, buddy.
We've got Dr. Enough. It was East Tennessee. I didn't realize that Mountain Dew was out of East Tennessee.
Yeah, the original Mountain Dew. It was originally sold in a mixed 6-pack so that you would drink your Mountain Dew at night with your moonshine.
That's awesome.
And then the next day you would drink your Dr. Enough to cure the hangover.
That's awesome.
The Dr. Enough had the vitamins and shit in it to cure your hangover.
And true story, if you go to drenough.com to this day and look on, I think it's their About Me page or whatever, you'll see a picture of me in my combat uniform.
No way.
Drinking a Dr. Enough. Yep.
That's awesome.
That's his claim to fame.
I knew I recognized you from somewhere.
Man, they used to have like cardboard cutouts in gas stations and billboards all over.
Yes.
He was huge
propaganda
for them for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. If anybody out there knows anyone at Dr. Enough research and development or marketing, we are open and willing to sponsor. We've shared your product on many an episode.
I'll sell my soul for a Dr. Enough.
I just now noticed that Stanley is sitting behind you.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I've been 39 minutes in. I was just like, oh yeah, you're probably not in an office right now.
No,
you're probably not in the office.
I'm in the office actually, and the cast is right there behind me, as you can see.
There you go.
Jim putting Dwight's stapler in Jell-O as we speak.
Such a great show.
I've been waiting for someone to comment and say it, because normally the people that we're on here live with, they already know that I'm sitting in front of a green screen. We actually talked about it before you got on, Alec, and I'm waiting on somebody to comment and be like, wait a minute, something's not right here.
Yeah, there it is.
So I wanted to bring up too, so Brandon, us growing up in Bakersville and all that, I had grandparents living over in Irwin, so my loyalties have always been divided between like ASU or ETSU. Going
Mhm.
back to that whole conversation. So people ask me where I'm
ETSU.
from. I'm like, well, see,
I can go either side of the mountain. It's okay. Whatever. I'm kind of the same way. I actually only lived in Bakersville for about 4 years. But then I lived in Johnson City immediately after that for about 5 or 6 years. So I know both areas about the
Mhm.
same amount and know about the same amount of people from each place. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, Johnson City, Irwin, Bakersville, Spruce Pine, that whole
yeah,
area.
yeah.
I like going back there for a few days at a time.
That's
It's
about all I can handle too.
It is nice to go back and have that, East Tennessee comforting like mountainness. It's a nice little place. Eastman,
Yeah.
brought to you by. They made
Sponsored by Eastman.
Yeah, there's a guy with a gun just right over here. He's like,
Say our name, bitch. Say
yes,
our name.
exactly. I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm done out here. I'm heading back to Bakersville and setting up my studio up on the mountain.
Oh, nice.
I don't ever want to see a person I didn't invite up again.
There you
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Just
Done with the city life.
There you go. I mean, teach their own. I had to get out of that. I needed to go somewhere else and find my own. But if you like it, then so be it. And I'm sure you're going to keep putting great musicians on to a better and brighter future with your label there.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see what
awesome.
happens.
What's the name of the label?
It's a Roan Audio Works. It's just
Gotcha. Cool.
really small, mostly digital distro. I have done a few. I do all the mastering for all the artists, so
Oh, cool.
we do a lot of physicals as well, records, CDs, whatnot.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
while you're talking about it, Chase, go ahead and tell the people listening where they can go to find that so that they can like and follow and, make your numbers keep
Plug
going
away,
up.
bro.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, do a search on Facebook, Roan Audio Works. I think it's facebook.com/Roan Audio Works. You can check out roanaudioworks.net as well. We have a web presence there, and SoundCloud. You can check out some of the stuff on SoundCloud as well. So that's soundcloud.com/ I think it's Iron Oak Sound, which is actually my studio. But
Cool
you
name.
can find it easily enough. It's all labeled together.
Sounds very Game of Thronesy.
Oh yes,
I like it.
inspired by friggin' that mountain pass, Iron Mountain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Duh. That's right there.
Oh.
And Alec, where can people go to find what you're working on?
So I kind of got through, I guess I would say for all the art and kind of all the digital side of things, it's a Volt Creative, VOLT creative.com. We build websites and do album art for a ton of people. And then music wise, thenewpacific.com is our rock band. And then alecstrickland.net, some bastard has .com. It's funny.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. That has a bunch of my music and photos, photography, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I have like Alec Strickland at Gmail. Like I have like the email address, the screen, a couple of the screen names, and he has like the .com, and he's also an artist. He's from Boston, I think, and he does like tattoo art. So a lot of times I'll get emails for him, or he'll get like music stuff for me, and so like we have a friendly Alec Strickland's back and forth.
An Alec Strickland alliance.
Yeah. It's only confusing on Facebook because we're Facebook friends too. Sometimes he'll like update something like, I don't remember saying that. Oh yeah, it's that guy. Shout out to the other Alec Strickland, wherever you may be.
That's great.
All right. Well, guys, I thank you so much for giving us so much of your time and coming on. Yeah. Come back anytime. It doesn't have to be in the middle of a pandemic for you guys to join.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna, if I wrap up this solo album, if you don't mind me coming back then to plug that.
Hey, flex plug, man.
Nice.
That'd
Awesome.
be great.
Yeah, sounds great to us. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday night with a live sports show with our other co-host, Justin. So be sure to tune back on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time every week. We've been doing it for this coming Monday will be our 90th episode. So 90 weeks in a row we've been doing this shit. So
Nice.
What do you guys talk about when there's no sports?
Oh, tune in. You'll find out. We
right.
find all kinds of sports news to talk about. Don't you worry about it.
Welcome
And
to ESPN 8, the
and
show.
in fact, whenever we get off of this podcast, we're going to both be tuning in to the NFL draft, which starts in about 13 minutes.
Hey, yo.
So
Right
that's what we're going to be doing. And so that's what we'll be talking about this week. So tune in.
Well, it's great to meet you two and see you again. And yeah, see you again soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
All right.
See ya.
Take care.